Pocahontas is in the water. Her friend Nakoma calls out to her and says, "Oh, you better be all right because I'm not coming in after you." Then Pocahontas playfully flips the canoe over and splish splash, friends are having fun in the water. What happens when a princess needs her props? She makes a podcast, of course. Welcome to episode 1 of Listen In with Lindsey.
Listen in with Lindsey.
Now I know what you're thinking. No, guys, I'm not a princess, but thank you for thinking that. I mean, hair flip. No, today we are talking about my favorite Disney princess of all time, Pocahontas. Specifically why she is so cool and deserves her props. But before we get into it, I am asking for a huge favor. All you have to do is like, share, and subscribe so you're always up to date on all the fun. If you feel ever so inclined, you can even leave a little commentaroni. It really helps my channel grow so I can keep making great content like this for you. Now, where were we? Ah yes, Pocahontas. So, I did a little digging on the internet, and here are the standard deets that I found on Pocahontas. Well, according to Disney Wiki, it says that Pocahontas is a 1995 American animated musical romantic comedy drama film released by Walt Disney Animation Studios. It's the 33rd full-length animated feature film in the Disney animated canon and the 6th film in the Disney Renaissance. The film is the first animated feature Disney film to be based on a real historical character. The known history and the folklore and legend that surrounds the Native American woman, Pocahontas, and features a fictionalized account of her encounter with the Englishman, John Smith, and the settlers that arrived from the Virginia Company. The film was directed by Mike Gabriel and Eric Goldberg, and produced by James Pentecost during a period known as the Disney Renaissance. Oh my goodness, what a time that was. Seriously, one of the best times to watch Disney movies. I mean, it was hit after hit after hit with The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, etc., etc. You get what I'm saying, right? But Pocahontas was my personal favorite. Hands down, she's my favorite, and I'm going to get into it. But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is sponsored by Gigi and the Giggle Stamp. Get ready to dance, laugh, and sing along with Gigi, the lovable character who's bringing joy to children everywhere. Her brand new song, Gigi and the Giggle Stamp, is out now, and it's guaranteed to bring smiles, giggles, and a whole lot of fun to your little ones. Whether it's playtime, learning, or just winding down, Gigi's catchy tunes and playful energy will fill your home with happiness. Want to be a part of something magical? Head over to GigiandTheGiggleStamp.com to listen to her latest song and support Gigi's upcoming projects. Let's make learning through music an adventure. Listen now and support future giggles at GigiandTheGiggleStamp.com. Thanks so much.
Like I said, Pocahontas is my favorite. She is wise beyond her years, she's curious, kind, introspective, and an out-of-the-box thinker. Definitely not a pushover. And well, she kind of had two guys fighting over her in the movie. It just happened. She didn't ask for it. They just realized how awesome she was, and it just happened, see? Okay. Sometimes I ask myself, why Pocahontas is my favorite Disney princess? When I think about it, my mind drifts towards this character in the movie, a willow tree named Grandmother Willow. She gives Pocahontas a very solid piece of advice, in my opinion. She says to listen with your heart. You will understand. So I took that advice and I realized that I understand Pocahontas. Listen, a lot of people don't appreciate this movie for what it is. It's one of the most underrated Disney movies, especially of the Disney Renaissance era. But what people don't understand about Pocahontas is that she is the OG feminist princess. Spoiler alert, she doesn't end up with her love interest in the end. And she also doesn't end up with the other guy who liked her, but she didn't really like him. Crazy, right? She accepts it though. She realizes that this is how it had to be. It's really interesting, especially for a Disney movie, a Disney princess movie, might I add. Well, okay, we will get more into it, but before we do, I was perusing the internet and I found these super fun Pocahontas trinkets that I simply have to share. All right, let's check it out. Oh, I have this. It's called the UNESCO Disney Traditions by Jim Shore White Woodland. It's a Pocahontas kneeling figurine, 7.3 inches, multicolor, and it was actually a birthday gift given to me by my baby brother. Look at how beautiful this Pocahontas figurine is, guys. Look at the detail. It even has Meeko the raccoon and Blit the bird. Oh, look, she's even holding her mother's necklace that I believe was given to her by her father. It's perfect to put on a shelf, your desk, anywhere you really like. Next, I found this Loungefly Disney Pocahontas Princess Scene mini backpack. You can wear this out for a day of shopping, a brunch date, or a day at Disney. You'll be so stylish. Look at the iconic scenes from the movie. It has the John Smith and Pocahontas scene where their hands touch, Wingapo. The colors of the wind, goodbye scene, Meeko the raccoon and Radcliffe's puppy in the bathtub on the side of the backpack. Oh, and look at the back of the backpack. We have the sinister Radcliffe, the villain of our movie, of course. Oh, and look at the zipper. It's Meeko the raccoon. And on the inside, it's the beige and beautiful Pocahontas. This is such a detailed and lovely backpack, if I do say so myself. Okay, and so there is another bag. This is a tote bag that I found. It's super cool. It's the Levlo Princess Pocahontas tote bag. For Pocahontas fans, give Colors of the Wind, Pocahontas reusable grocery bag, Pocahontas merch. What a loaded title, but that's what it's called. And it has the lyrics and music of the classic song Colors of the Wind. I just think it's so neat. You can walk on the sidewalk, la-di-da-di-da-da, and then you look down at your bag and, oh, let me just sing Colors of the Wind. It's so picturesque, am I right? If any of these Pocahontas trinkets interest you and you're like, hey, I want to jump on the Pocahontas train, I'll leave links in the description box below. All right, guys, we are going to get into it. Why is Pocahontas this powerhouse princess? How can we give her the props that she deserves? Well, I think that we should dive into her character journey in the 1995 classic animated film. Yes. So we first see Pocahontas on top of a cliff, feeling the colors of the wind. Right before this scene, her father, Chief Powhatan, talks to the village wise man who tells him that Pocahontas has her mother's spirit. She goes wherever the wind takes her. And ladies and gentlemen, that wind brought her to the top of a waterfall cliff. Yes, your girl is a free spirit. So much so that when her bestie Nakoma rows up in a canoe to tell her that her father has returned, her spirit takes her in an unexpected direction. Yeah, she dives off of the cliff into the river. Just for fun. That's how much of a free spirit she is. But wait, it gets better. Pocahontas is in the water. Her friend Nakoma calls out to her and says, oh, you better be all right because I'm not coming in after you. Then, Pocahontas playfully flips the canoe over and splish splash, friends are having fun in the water. So far, within the first scene of meeting Pocahontas, we see that she is a free spirit and a fun friend. Let's explore what happens when she meets up with her father. All right, so this is the first interaction of the movie between Pocahontas and her father, and it's fascinating. Pocahontas has been having this dream about a spinning arrow. She feels that it's pointing her down her path. Her father, Chief Powhatan, is like, funny you should mention your path. The bravest warrior in our tribe, Kokowum, has asked for Pocahontas' hand in marriage. Pocahontas gives this really type of reaction. I mean, he's too serious for Pocahontas, but her father gently points out that Kokowum would make a good husband. He displays qualities of loyalty, strength, protection, and the ability to build a good and safe house. Pocahontas pushes back, wondering why she can't choose her husband. But she's the daughter of the chief. She has to be like the river, which, according to Chief Powhatan, is steady as the beating drum. And with that, he gives Pocahontas her mother's necklace, the one that she wore to her wedding. And it was her dream to have Pocahontas wear the necklace at her own. Now, I really like the next scene. Not only is it of the iconic Just Around the River Bend song, but we get to see how deep of a thinker Pocahontas really is. She takes what her father tells her, to be as steady as the river, steady as the beating drum, and whatnot. She's processing what he wants for her and deeply reflecting on what she wants for herself. She notices that the river isn't steady at all, that the water is always changing and flowing. She also notices that people in general, or what she sees of them, tend to play it safe. But what Pocahontas yearns for, because she is a free spirit, is to see what's around the riverbed. She comes to a fork in the river. Does she go towards the side that's steady or the side that's ever winding? Should she marry Kocoum or should she follow her dreams and explore her destiny? Comment below which side you think she takes. You can write either safe side if you think she chooses Kocoum, or wild side if you think she chooses the path to follow her dreams. You probably know the answer. The movie did come out in 1995, but let's have fun and comment anyway, shall we? So, since her father didn't really give her the guidance that Pocahontas needed about her spinning arrow dream, she goes to see her friend Grandmother Willow, a talking willow tree, for guidance. That is when Grandmother Willow tells her to listen with her heart and she will understand. Pocahontas is guided to climb the tree and look out to see, what she sees out there. And she sees something that she calls strange clouds. Little does she know, she's about to meet somebody special, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed John Smith. John is like Pocahontas in the sense that he has an adventurous spirit. John Smith senses that he's being watched and is naturally it's Pocahontas. She can't help it, guys. She's so curious, mesmerized, captivated, and dare I say just a teensy bit taken with Mr. John Smith. Kocoum who? However, their first face-to-faces, let's just say it doesn't go well. Now, don't get me wrong. John Smith sees Pocahontas for the first time, and now Smith is the smitten one. He's like, whoa, who is that? But he scares her off. Pocahontas takes off running, and John Smith follows her. By the time Pocahontas makes it to her canoe, John Smith catches up. Uh-oh, they can't understand each other. But remember what Grandmother Willow told her. She had to listen with her heart, and she will understand. And guys, understand each other they did. They were able to introduce themselves. And from an introduction, they begin to get to know each other. They're talking, and oop, it seems that they are getting into their first fight. Cultural differences and such. Pocahontas takes it upon herself to show a little bit of her world via the classic song Colors of the Wind. And I really love the openness between them. Pocahontas wanted to share her world, and John Smith wanted to see her world, and a bond between them begins to grow. Then, Pocahontas suddenly hears drums, which mean trouble. She runs off, but John Smith is like, I want to see you again. Pocahontas plays coy. No, I can't. Please, he pleads. But ultimately, she has to go. Guys, the animation in John Smith's face when Pocahontas runs off, yes, chef's kiss. His eyes are wide, and the way they animated his breath, he's totally processing this fleeting moment he just had with the alluring Princess Pocahontas. See, this is why Pocahontas needs more props. Look at what she's doing to John Smith, okay? But, it does seem that Pocahontas didn't come out unscathed with this experience as well. She's back with her bestie Nakoma picking corn, and Nakoma senses that something is off. Pocahontas' father checks in on the girls and says that he will send Kocoum to look after them. Before Kocoum arrives, John Smith surprises Pocahontas, but more so Nakoma. She's like, who is this? I need to get help. Pocahontas quickly covers Nakoma's mouth. She asks John Smith, what are you doing here? Ooh, he says that he had to see her again, swoon. But then we hear Kocoum calling out to Pocahontas in the distance. Pocahontas is quick on her feet. Kocoum can't see John Smith, so she asks Nakoma to cover for her as she runs off with John Smith. She does reluctantly, Nakoma does so reluctantly. Well, see, Pocahontas does have loyal friends, and that's another good sign, I guess. Pocahontas now has determined that it's time for John Smith to meet Grandmother Willow, and they surprisingly get along really well. John Smith agrees to meet up with Pocahontas later that night. Pocahontas and Grandmother Willow start to think maybe her spinning arrow dream is pointing to John Smith. Later on, it becomes increasingly obvious that there is some tension between Pocahontas' tribe and John Smith's settlers. And later that night, when Pocahontas and John Smith meet up, they are brainstorming on how they can fix things between both sides. John Smith is skeptical, but Pocahontas is insistent that he should speak to her father and initiate peace. But what's that going to do? Will it actually make a difference? Grandmother Willow dips one of her branches into the water. She creates ripples and notes how small they are at first, but they do grow if only someone starts them. John Smith is still not convinced. They're not going to listen to us, he says. But Grandmother Willow insists that he can only be with Pocahontas when the fighting stops. And from there, John Smith agrees to go and speak with Pocahontas' father. And then, the moment we have been waiting for. Pocahontas and John Smith share a kiss. But who should see this kiss? Two people, actually. Kocoum, Pocahontas' intended fiancé, and John Smith's fellow settler and friend, Thomas. Kocoum can't take it. He can't take seeing Pocahontas, his Pocahontas kissing another man, and worse, the enemy. He's let out a battle cry and begins to actually battle John Smith. And long story short, thanks to Thomas, Kocoum transitions to the next life. John Smith tells Thomas to scram as fellow Native Americans rush in to imprison John Smith for the downfall of Kocoum. John Smith is now sentenced to be an example for his fellow settlers and executed at sunrise, I believe. Pocahontas apologizes for the chaos between them, and she sees him all tied up, and she feels really bad. And she says it would have been better if they had never met, but John Smith insists that he has accepted his fate. He is grateful to have known her and will always be with her no matter what. Oh, my heart, I love John Smith so much. But the next scene is when I truly deem Pocahontas to be a powerhouse princess, and the main reason why she is the princess that deserves all of the props in the world. Now, there is a lot going on in her world right now. Her love interest, John Smith, is scheduled to be executed. Her ex-fiancé, Kocoum, passed away unnecessarily. War is breaking out between Pocahontas' people and John Smith's English settlers. It's a lot. What does Pocahontas do? She goes to her confidant, Grandmother Willow. And we are back to the spinning arrow. Pocahontas' friend Meeko, the raccoon, had swiped John Smith's compass earlier and is now handing it to Pocahontas. She notices that the arrow is spinning. It's like the arrow from her dream. Pocahontas realizes that her path had been pointing to John Smith all along, and Grandmother Willow confirms that Pocahontas knows her path and she must follow it. And guys, she does. She stops John Smith's execution, professes her love for him in front of everyone, and demands that the hatred brewing between her people and John Smith's English settlers must end. Whoa, if that's not a boss move, I don't know what is. Pocahontas' father agrees to peace, but Radcliffe, who we've managed to avoid talking about this whole time, is not convinced. He's the villain of the story. He wants the gold of the New World to elevate his status, blah, blah, blah. And he thinks that Pocahontas and her people are purposefully hiding the gold from him. So he intends to wipe out Chief Powhatan, Pocahontas' father. And John Smith knocks the chief out of the way and gets injured in the process. The settlers lock up the rogue Ratcliffe as they ultimately take after John Smith's example and want peace too. Smith now has to go all the way back to England to seek medical attention. Will Pocahontas go with him? Sadly, no. Her people need her, and John Smith needs to see the doctor in England. They say their heartful goodbyes, and Pocahontas sends the colors of the wind in John Smith's direction as she watches him sail off into the distance. And both of them realize that they are now better people for knowing each other. So, again, I ask, why does Pocahontas not get more props? I don't know. It's beyond me. She is so universally underrated, but in my opinion, just just the humble opinion of a girl who happens to be right, okay? Pocahontas displays wisdom, courage, insight, love, loyalty, leadership, a true powerhouse princess if I ever saw one. But what do you think about Pocahontas? Are you itching to go watch the movie now? I bet you are. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I do hope you enjoyed the very first episode of Listen In with Lindsey. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Listen in with Lindsey.